What's up, metal and heavy music fans? Today we have a review of Trivium and their new album In the Court of the Dragon via Roadrunner Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. In the Court of the Dragon marks album number 10 in the 22 years of existence for this Florida band, one that I first discovered with Like Light to the Flies on a sampler CD that I found in the hallway of my college dorm. Small beginnings to being one of the biggest bands in the genre. But as far as this new album goes, there is still one thing that continues to be my detraction from this otherwise massive talent. But first, let's start with the good, and there's plenty of it. Obviously, the guitar work is great as always. Let's face it, this has always been the real star of the show when it comes to Trivium, and it shines bright once more on every track, from the deeply melodeath-inspired metalcore hooks to the ripping solos. The title track in particular is an impressive opener packed with riffs straight out of an early 2000s In Flames record, and plenty of twists and turns throughout its runtime. Not to be outshined, Fall Into Your Hands has some really sick drumming in the intro that is positively jaw-dropping. Every time I listen to this part, I just think, "We're not worthy! We're not worthy!" I also really dig the scope of the symphonic elements on Big Closer The Phalanx, and Feast of Fire has some seriously awesome bass tone like a lumbering metal Cyberman. So look, respect absolutely where it is due. I hold no ill will towards Trivium, and in addition to earning everything that they have achieved, they also just seem like cool dudes that I could hang with. But I've got to be honest, I really hate these vocals.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
Yes. All of them. But let's start with the harsh ones. They just have no variation at all, which honestly has been a complaint I've had even going back to their early albums. It's just rah 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 raspy screams day in, day out. I'd prefer they keep things interesting, change it up. Give me some low growls, some high screeches, anything. Fall Into Your Hands and Like a Sword Over Damocles are both prime examples. Ra-da-da, ra-da-da. I'm sorry, but it just gets downright grating at times. And then there's the cleans. So many uninspired melodies, they're often so predictable and ultimately boring, sometimes just corny. Like a sword of Damocles. And then the verses of The Shadow of the Abattoir are downright embarrassing to the point that I was physically wincing my way through it. Here the weaknesses are even more apparent due to the absence of the riffage to balance it out. It's for these reasons that while Unearth gets called the slayer of metalcore, Trivium has always been my Megadeth. Pieces! Now, to be fair, there are moments where Matt shines. And despite not being a huge fan of power metal, it's when he's going for that style of delivery that he's at his best. At times, Feast of Fire sounds straight out of the 80s in its energy. But if you ask me, and you probably didn't, in fact, you're probably too busy ferociously clacking away your disgust in the comments right now, the best example of where Trivium really gets the formula right and are firing on all cylinders is A Crisis of Revelation. This song should really be the base blueprint of all Trivium songs moving forwards. You get all of the usual great riffs, a truly face-melting solo, almost Dream Theater-worthy bass, and a clean-sung chorus that is admittedly simple, but incredibly catchy. It actually reminds me a lot of a Killswitch Engage track mixed with a touch of God Forbid. And those little backup screams to punctuate the singing? Once more, you can get mad all you want for me being critical, but I'm honestly not trying to hate. I just think that 1, if you're like me, these vocals are going to be a bit of a deal breaker despite the other strong performances. Some people like this style, and that's perfectly fine. Different strokes. And 2, objectively in comparison to other bands in their orbit, I just feel like there's room for improvement. I would love to hear more compositions like these just knock it out of the park on the Vox. But turning to my scales, I give In the Court of the Dragon a 7 for enjoyability. Seriously, when it comes to the instrumentation, it's closer to a 9. Speaking of which, I give it a 9 for musicianship. Again, everybody is killing it on their respective instruments. I have pretty much nothing negative to say about that. And I give it a 7 for innovation. Still nothing here that I haven't heard many times before. So a 7.7 overall and a C+ for Trivium and In the Court of the Dragon. Oh god, I can already see the comments now. Let me know what your favorite Trivium album is down in the comments, and stick around for more album reviews. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.